Hello, good morning. It's nice to be here. We're not, yeah. So this is good. Yesterday, I met a friend of mine. They came to visit from Hungary. They gave me a little packet of Hungarian spicy sausages, which I put in my bag. It seems to be the same pocket I had my mask in. So, all I could get all morning was spicy Hungarian sausage. So I do apologize if my voice is not where it should be. But yeah, it's good to be here. Any more notes? I don't know. I think should we vote if Tony gets to keep his beard forever? I think that should be like on a bulletin or something. Mine is just a balancing thing, but bonus, right? Okay, so we've got Genesis 14, a fallen brother. Okay, it is not a very long chapter. I think we've got a very quick time, and I'll just read through the chapter. In the days of, I'll struggle with the names, so please forgive me. In the names of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim. Genesis chapter 14, reading full chapter 12. These kings made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Birsha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. And all these joined forces in the valley of Sidon, that is the Salt Sea, or we know it today, the Dead Sea from it. 12 years they had served Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in that place, Shaveh, Kiriathim, and the Horites in their hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran on the border of the wilderness. And then they turned back and came to Emishpat, that is Kadesh, and defeated all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites who were dwelling in Hazazon Tamar. Then the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and they joined battle in the valley of Sidon. With Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Sidon was full of bitumen pits, and as the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into them, and the rest fled to the hill country. So the enemy took all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their provisions and went their way. They also took Lot, the son of Abram's brother, who was dwelling in Sodom and his possessions, and went their way. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram, the Hebrew, who was living by the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and of Aner. These were allies of Abram. When Abram heard his kinsman had been taken captive, he led forth his strange men, born in his house, 318 of them, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he divided his forces against them by night, and he and his servants, and defeated them and pursued them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then he brought back all the possessions, and also brought back his kinsman Lot and his possession, and the women and the people. Abram so after his return from the defeat of Kedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet at the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of the God Most High, and he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." And Abram gave him a tenth of everything, and the king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me the persons, but take the goods for yourself." But Abram said to the king of Sodom, "I have lifted my hand to the Lord, God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread or a sandal strap or anything in yours, anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten in the share of the bank with me. That Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre take their share as well." Okay, so that's the chapter. Lots of names, lots of places. Just to summarize, there were some kings. So there was that king, Kedorlaomer, who was ruling over some of small little kingdoms he'd conquered, and some of those wanted to rebel. They've been sort of captured, and they've been part of. They've been serving Kedorlaomer for 12 years, and then they rebelled. They got a freedom for 1 year, and then Kedorlaomer was like, "I'm not having any of this. I'm going to go and fight them." So he gets his armies. He's meeting the rebel kings to fight them. 4 kings against 5. The rebels get defeated and run away. And Lot, what is Lot doing there? Who knows? But he's, we know he chose to live in that area. So Lot gets captured. Word reaches Abram. Abram's probably thinking, what sort of Lot got himself into? But he, without hesitation, he gathers his allies, he gathers his men, he goes to Lot's rescue. So I had a few questions today. I mean, obviously this is a battle that wasn't probably nothing unusual for those times. The only reason it made it into the Bible was that Abram got involved in it, and that it was important. Either that part was important for them to rescue Lot, or later meeting with Melchizedek. But yeah, because our talk is called Rescuing a Fallen Brother, I thought we'll ask ourselves a few questions and see, if we get challenged. So, as we know, everyone gets up and goes to the rescue, and Lot got himself in trouble. Now, one thing that sort of came to me is we know Abram so far, and we know that he might be questionable at times. His character could be questionable. We know he's done dodgy stuff back in Egypt. He's lied about his wife. We're gonna know that later on. He's gonna do more sort of questionable things in the way he treats his sort of his immigrant Hagar, sort of the servant of his wife, and he's not a perfect character, and I think that's an important thing to know, that in the Bible we get all the heroes. They're not always perfect. They've got their faults, and Abram does lots of dodgy stuff sometimes. But here we see him in a good light. We see him being standing up for his family, going without hesitation to rescue his nephew or cousin, or the relation nephew, to rescue his nephew. And it looks like a selfless is what I wanted to say, a selfless act on his behalf. So let's think about that for a second. My question is, does anyone in your life right now need you to get up and help them? Is it a family? Could it be a friend? Could it be someone from church, a brother or sister in church? And what would that mean? So we'll have a second to reflect there. Have a think. And as you're thinking, is there anyone in our lives right now who needs to sort of get up, gather our resources, and help them? Family, friend, family from church. Maybe you don't, which is okay as well, so you don't have to find something. You can see people, someone. Or maybe you're in a position that you find yourself sort of in captivity almost. The enemy forces surrounded by the enemy, going the wrong way of where you need to be going. Yeah. If you can think of someone, and if you can't, it's okay. If you think of someone later on, that's fine. But here's the question: how can you be challenged with this? What Abram did is he gathered his resources, and there was a lot of risk involved in his quest to save Lot. He went to war. He went on a military assault against very powerful people who just won a major battle, and they ran away with the spoils. There was no guarantee for him that he'll be successful. Also, He's just a large landowner, not landowner, he's a large sort of farmer. He's a businessman. His mates are businessmen. They're all military people. They've got the defense. They've got the trained men for protection. But it's a group of resourceful people against some military kings. And I mean, that Carolina guy is no joke. He conquered the land. People have been begging him for 12 years, and he's just defeated. So there's lots of risk involved. So my next question is, if you can think of someone now, or if you can think of someone later, or it could be a few people, what did it mean for you, for me, for us to gather our resources and sort of go and fight for someone? And some of those situations might mean that we would, obviously, I'm not talking about going and fighting in a way of a military fight, but what would that mean to go and help someone in our lives and rescue them? I think that based on this, it means that we would risk a lot, probably, but we'd be willing to do it. That we would put our position at risk as well. So we're not only risking our resources, we could be risking our reputation, risking a lot of things. But it is important to find. And you could ask, why was it important to Abram to go and fight for Lot, who got himself into trouble? Well, we don't get the reason, but we know their family. It was important for Abram, and he got up and go. It was that important. So let's think about those challenges for a second. Also, it might mean us going to rescue people. It might mean we don't get anything out of it. Abram was given an opportunity to get a lot of resources because he went and defeated the people, the kings, and he said, "No, I'll take what my men had." Maybe you didn't like the king of Sodom, which is understandable. So I don't want anything to do with you. And that's also a good example. Yeah, sometimes going to rescue people means we don't get anything out of it. And we could be a little bit, you might have lost men, you don't get much, that, you invest some resources in that, into going in with heaven. So yeah, he didn't take anything. He went up to help out Lot. But also, a little footnote here, what I found interesting is when he was offered to take the spoils and stuff like to give the people. Abram goes, "No, I don't want you to think you made me rich. My people are going to get what they want. But my allies, you ask them, I'm not going to speak to them, and they can take what they want." So as I was reading and preparing, I thought it might be just a nice little footnote to say, sometimes we probably shouldn't be making decisions for other people who might not be, even though it could sound like the right decision, especially, here resources were a question. Abram said, "Hey, let the other guys make their decisions. They might not see eye to eye with me. They might not have the same values as me, but I know for myself that." Here's a little just thought out there to think of. Is sometimes are we making decisions that involve others, maybe work, in our family, that they might not agree with, and we think they're right decisions, but should we be thinking what's, think on for a second. And let's move on to we've got very short time, so let's move on to the second part, and we're going to talk about Melchizedek a little bit. Who's heard about Melchizedek before? He's a popular guy. Yeah, we get told a lot about Melchizedek. In Hebrews, Jesus is compared to be priest from the order of Melchizedek, or like Melchizedek. And this guy is almost a footnote, by the way, to this story. He almost makes it for just a second. But why is it important? So Melchizedek is the king of Salem. Most scholars agree that's probably the old name for Jerusalem. So he's the king of Salem. He's also something unique. He's a king and he's also a priest. We don't get that often. And his name means my king is righteousness. He's the priest of God Most High, El Elyon. Abram later, in his testimony, so he says, Yahweh El Elyon. So he puts the two together. So we know that he's the priest of God. And he also preached very untraditional to Jewish culture. Okay, the priesthood comes way after Abraham through the Levites, but he's not Levite. So that's an interesting thing. The priests outside of the order of the Levites, very traditional, conventional. And what also he does, he meets from with what? What does he go up to meet him with? Bread and wine. He meets him with bread and wine. So we know that Jesus is called a priest of the order or like thing, and meets him with bread and wine. And one other thing, what does Abram do to him? What does he give him? He gives him a tenth of the spoils. And the question here is, if we read forward, what through the law, what the Israelites wanted to tithe, was to give a tenth to the priests, to the Levites. And here's Abram doing that to. Not almost a footnote, gets only a few verses in, but we've got some very strong references to what's coming up in the Bible. Moving to Jesus, he is the priest king, similar to Melchizedek. And Hebrews compares him to being of the order because similar to Melchizedek, he's not Levite, he's part of the tribe of Judah. And I will, if we have time, just to read a few verses on Hebrews. I know we're just going to finish on that. But what we're looking for in these verses is that Jesus is an eternal priest. The Levites had to do it generationally because they would die. So the next generation had to take over the priesthood and so on and so on. They kept doing sacrifices to please God. Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice, once and for all. So two very different things, I know, of our time. But I will read, and we're going to finish on this. We're not going to go much more. So I'm going to read from verses 11 onwards. That is Hebrews chapter 7. Now, if perfection had been attainable, the Levitical priesthood, for under it people received the law, what further need would there have been for another priest to arise after the order of Melchizedek, rather than one named after the order of Aaron? For when there is a change in the priesthood, there is necessarily a change in the law as well. For the one of whom these things are spoken belongs to another tribe, from which no one has ever served at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord was descended from Judah, and his connection with the tribe Moses said nothing about priests. This becomes even more evident when another priest arises in the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become a priest not on the basis of a legal requirement concerning bodily descent, but by the power of an indestructible life. For it is witnessed to him, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. For on the one hand, the former commandment is set aside because of its weakness and uselessness, for the law made nothing perfect. But on the other hand, a better hope is introduced, through which we draw near to God. And it was not without an oath. For those who formerly became priests were made such without an oath, but this one was made priest with an oath. The Lord has sworn by the one who said to him, the Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever. This makes Jesus the guarantor of a better covenant. The former priests were many in number because they were prevented by death from continuing in office. But he holds his priesthood permanently because he continues forever. Consequently, he's able to save the uttermost, those who draw near to the uttermost, those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. For it was indeed fitting that we should have such a high priest, holy, innocent, unstained, separated from sinners, and exalted above the heavens. He has no need, like those high priests, to offer sacrifices daily, first for his own sins, then for those of the people, since he did this once for all when he offered up himself. For the law appoints men in their weakness as high priests, but the word of the oath, which came later than the law, appoints the Son, who has been made perfect forever. Let's pray. Lord, thank you